now time for Easy Money with E, that E being Erica, our resident sports betting analyst. So, Erica, we have wrapped up our wine country racing. We're headed to the cornfields of Iowa. Before we get into the best bets of the weekend, how are you feeling after Sonoma?
I feel pretty good, Kim. As the kids would say, it was kind of mid, but we had some of our best bets to hit. We had Michael McDowell to finish in the head-to-head over AJ. We also had Chevy as a winning manufacturer for my bonus bets toward the end of the week. And then if you took out the parlay and just made straight bets, as I always advise people to do if they want, then you had C. Busher to finish in the top 10 as well. So it's all about continuing to build on our momentum from Sonoma.
Love it. And hopefully we have some good momentum after Iowa Speedway. I sound like a broken record, but this is the first time the Cup Series will race at Iowa Speedway. And with that, I'm curious, how are the books setting the odds when the Cup Series hasn't raced at a track before? Are they looking at past performance by each driver and maybe a lower series at that track?
Yeah, I think that odds makers are definitely considering in some capacity how drivers have done it in Xfinity and how they've performed at Truck Series. But honestly, Kim, I think the biggest betting trend that odds makers are leaning into is how they have driven at short tracks in general. So for our picks this week, it's all about how drivers have done at short tracks, and that's what I want to lean into.
Okay, let's dive into those race picks, starting with winning manufacturer. What have you learned, I guess, from some of the short track racing we've seen this season, and how is that going to influence your pick?
Well, my first pick is going to be Chevy winning manufacturer at plus 240. And that's honestly, I love those odds. I'm going there because of the odds. So right now, Toyota is plus 120. Even Ford has shorter odds at plus 225. So you can look back and say, okay, yes, Hendrick has won four short track races in the next gen car. So that's one reason to lean into Chevy at plus 240. However, first caution, Kim. JGR over the past 8 or 9 races has performed really impressively at short track. So if you want to go there and do Toyota, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I'm going to go with greed and go with the longer odds at plus 240 and then kind of like egg on Byron and Larson to end up getting into victory lane.
Okay, so winning manufacturer Chevrolet, does that mean maybe your top 5 pick is going to be a Chevy driver?
You know me so well. I'm going with Kyle Larson as a top 5 finisher at plus 130. I mean, he's given us so many reasons to back him in this spot. Mainly, if you look at his past 10 short track races, he's finished no worse than 6th in the last 9 of those. So definitely want to back him here. But I do want to also say, make sure you shop around because I did see Kyle Larson top 3 finisher odds at plus 215. So I wouldn't be mad if you went that way either. But I'm going to go first and foremost, plus 130. Top 5 finisher. I might sprinkle a little bit on him at 215 as a top 3 finisher too.
Okay, let's expand it a little bit though and look broader. Let's look top 10 for this weekend.
All honesty, cannot lie. I really wanted to lean into C-Bell at minus 400, but those odds are so juiced, and I just couldn't do that to myself or to you guys. So the better value is going Brad Keselowski at minus 160 to be a top 10 finisher. Kim, Brad Keselowski has already tested this track this year. He's one of 3 drivers to get some time on the track earlier this spring. So, and he's got 3 wins in Xfinity. So that counts for something. He's got some experience at Iowa, albeit not in Cup Series. So minus 160, Brad Keselowski. Yay or nay, disagree or agree with me?
I feel good about that pick. He was actually one of the drivers I was considering for my fantasy lineup. You mentioned some of those stats, including 3 wins in the Xfinity Series. I think he's going to have a strong weekend. All right, though, okay. As we talk strong weekend, what about outright winners?
Outright winners odds, my favorite, sarcasm inserted there, my favorite market, but we're going to go Denny Hamlin. We're going to also go William Byron and C. Busher as the outright winners odds that I'm looking at. Denny Hamlin at plus 800, the devil that you know. Yeah, I know, he had that blown up engine last week. Let's act like that didn't happen. But
too soon.
Right. Too soon. Well, hey, Denny Hamlin, I needed you not to do that. But I'm going to back you again in this spot anyway. He's great at short tracks and plus 800. I feel confident that he could be one of the drivers running up front toward the end. And then let's move on to William Byron at plus 1,000. A $10 bet would win you a total of $100. He's consistent. Byron's got a win here in Truck Series. He's got a win here in Xfinity Series. So plus 1,000 right there is a great spot for Byron. And then my absolute favorite of my outright winners this week is a Busher at plus 2,000. Kim, if Busher ends up getting into victory lane at plus 2,000 and a $10 bet wins us a total of $200,
Ooh.
please know I'm going to be right.
Cha-ching.
Right, racing to the bank on a Sunday. Cash me out now. He's got 7 top 10s on the season. He had a great finish last week at Sonoma, so he's got some momentum, and we always talk about momentum here. So he's the one who's got it. So back him in that spot as well.
Okay, well, now that we've got your picks, let's talk about timing of those picks, because this is a new track for the Cup Series. They have 50 minutes of practice. So what are the positives and negatives about maybe waiting until the end of the week to place your bets?
Yeah, the benefit is that you will have a better idea of how each driver is going to handle the track, since we've never run a Cup Series race here. But the disadvantage is that the most favorable or the more favorable odds will likely change in a less than favorable direction once we see how they run. So if you want to be a little less risky this week and wait till after the Friday practice or wait till after the Saturday qualifying, you can do that. But I'm going to go ahead and throw some bucks beforehand because I'm pretty confident in my picks this week.
All right, Erica, thank you so much for the insight, and don't forget to look out for her bonus bets later in the week. We will see you next week in studio. We're so excited to get your preview for New Hampshire.